Any questions you have, then on 911, we'll have Commissioner Gross, Commissioner Finn address any questions on the 911 system. We can do it at the end if it's okay with you. All right? I want to thank everyone for coming out today. I want to thank Commissioner Gross, Commissioner Joe Finn from the Boston Fire Department, Chief Hooley from the MBTA, Chief Green from the MBTA, Chief Hooley from EMS. I also want to welcome Chief Shemaine Benford from Emergency Management. It's his first press conference here, and thank you for being here with us today. And Gina Fandaka and Chris Osgood. I think we have a bunch of other people, but thank you, everyone, for being here. We have representatives with us from the Transportation Department here in the city. We have Boston Fire, Boston EMS, MBTA, Transportation. All the departments are important. First night is an important Boston tradition here in Boston. It brings our city together. It's a chance for people to kind of celebrate 2018 and ring in the year ahead. Dusty Rose Conventions is here. She's done a great job in the past few years here in the city, and we want to thank them for putting on a great event over the last several years, and looking forward to another great event. Dusty will come up in a few moments and talk a little bit about some of the celebrations that are going to be happening on New Year's Eve. As always, safety is our #1 priority in the city of Boston every single night, but no different on New Year's Eve night. All of our public safety agencies have been working together to make sure that we have a safe first night for everybody in the city, whether that's people celebrating in downtown Boston, the Copley Square area, or whether that's people in our neighborhoods. We want to make sure people are safe. We want to make sure everyone has the information they need before the big night is here. There's going to be extra police and EMS and other emergency management personnel downtown, and we're also going to be covering all of our neighborhoods, making sure that our neighborhoods are fully covered on New Year's Eve as well. They are there to assist the public. They're there to help you. If anyone needs help, please do not hesitate to reach out. It's always our motto is if you see something, say something, and call 911 if there's an emergency out there that you see on the street. And you can also, our 311 line will have extra call takers that night as well to take any other concerns that people might have in the city. We want to make sure that everyone's aware the first night is an entirely outdoors event. It's going to be cold, so we're asking people to dress warmly and look out for one another. We're asking you if you drink responsibly. Be careful if you're drinking, and be careful thinking that you can take off your jackets and run around the town because of the cold weather. It could be dangerous to you. We're asking people never to drink and drive. Any opportunity, please take other transportation into town. MBTA obviously will have service on that night, but also taxis or other type of car sharing services, take them in town. We're asking you to leave fireworks to professionals. We're going to be out in the neighborhoods enforcing rules. If we see people with fireworks, they're illegal. We'll be taking action in the areas that we can do that. It's illegal to set off fireworks in neighborhoods, and Commissioner Finn's always concerned about people lighting off fireworks in neighborhoods. We have an old housing stock, and we want to be very careful that we don't cause harm to other folks. A few notes on transportation. That there will be some street closures and parking restrictions. The restrictions will begin this weekend in the city of Boston. You'll find full details on our website at boston.gov/transportation. So we're asking if you're driving in town and you think you can park on certain streets, we'll be towing people, ticketing and towing people on certain streets. There'll be a bit of a parade in town, and we have other events in different areas. If possible, we'll ask you to leave your car at home, and as much walking, or we have the blue bikes as well in the MBTA. The T service will be free after 8 p.m. on New Year's Eve. All subway lines will operate on rush hour schedules between 3 p.m. on New Year's Eve and 2 a.m. on New Year's Day. For more information for New Year's services, you can go to mbta.com/holidays. That's mbta.com/holidays. Again, I want to thank all of our safety personnel. Many of the folks that you're going to see out in the street, or all of the folks you're going to see out in the street, none of them have the opportunity to celebrate the New Year with their family. Some of them, it's their shift. Many of them are ordered to work, and they're coming into work because they have to, and they're coming in to make sure that we're all safe. So we want to just remember them. Also, I want to thank conventions for working with us to make sure that this event continues to be a family-friendly event, and it really is an incredible event. And I want to wish everyone a happy, healthy New Year. And now I'm going to pass it off to Commissioner Gross, who's going to talk about Boston Police Department. Chief Green will talk about the MBTA. Dusty Rhodes will come up then from conventions and talk about the events that we have that night. We'll then take questions, and then the last question, if you don't mind, could be the 911 call, which Commissioner Gross and Commissioner Finn can address. So, Commissioner.
Thank you, Your Honor. Afternoon, everyone. So, another first night event, nothing new to Boston. We just would like everyone to know, just keep in mind, this is a family event, all right? This is for families. And the Boston Police Department will be working in conjunction with all of the first responder chiefs and commissioners that you see before you, as well as the private sector and the public. For those that will be attending, we ask you to also be our eyes and ears. If you see something, you say something. You will be a part of our multi-layered security approach. We will have officers in uniform, and we will have undercover officers. And we have assets in place to respond to any incidents that occur. As well, the mayor alluded to this earlier, the neighborhoods will be covered. I don't want anyone to think that all of our assets will be downtown covering the first night events. The neighborhoods will be covered. We're not taking any resources from the neighborhoods at all. Seeing that it is a family event, we'd ask everyone, please, no public drinking, no smoking marijuana in public. It's a family event. As well, no weapons. We will have people throughout the crowds checking for anyone that's not adhering to our request for not to drink in public. As well, no flying drones, please. And again, just remember, this is a family event. Respect each other, be patient. It's going to be a lot of people. I just want you to respect each other. Now I'm going to go over some of our major outdoor events. Now we all know it starts with a parade. So our grand procession will begin at 6 p.m. at Copley Square, and we'll travel along Boylston Street to the Boston Commons. At 7 p.m., we'll have a firework display over the Boston Commons. And again, let the professionals do their job. We don't want to see anyone lighting off their fireworks that they may have brought to that event. So no. Also, we're going to have 2 countdowns to midnight. The Boston waterfronts, we're going to have a firework display over the harbor. And then at Copley Square, we're going to have music on stage and a pyrotechnics show. And we want everyone to just be safe and enjoy yourself. As well, we have received no credible threats for first night. And we'll be constantly checking to ensure, again, that there's no credible threats and that we're, again, working in partnership with everyone you see here before you. Ice sculpture locations: Boston Public Library, the Dartmouth Street entrance, and Boylston and Exeter Street. Ice sculptures are on Copley Square Park, Four Seasons Hotel at 200 Boylston Street, and the Boston Common Frog Pond. So now I'm going to turn it over to Chief Green.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here, assisting us to get our message out to the public. We really appreciate that. As it has already been said many times, First Night Celebration is a family-oriented event. So with that being said, we encourage all families coming in the city of Boston to utilize the MBTA transit system to enjoy the festivities. We'll have additional transit police officers, both uniformed and in plain clothes, throughout the system to ensure that everyone has a safe and efficient travel. Those that do choose to take the MBTA to come into Boston, we ask them to act responsibly and be respectful to one another. And to be especially mindful with people with children, the elderly, and people with disabilities as you use the system. The consumption of alcohol and or unruly behavior will not be tolerated. As I said, we'll have additional officers out there to ensure that everybody is acting appropriately or behaving. It's already been said, but I'm going to say it again. Currently, there are no new credible threats to this event or to the MBTA, for that matter. However, we'll continue to be in close contact with our state, local, and federal law enforcement partners throughout the night. And as always, we ask the public's help. If you see something, say something. Now, we say that all the time. Those aren't just mere words. See something, say something. It means something. It means that we need you to be our extra set of eyes and ears. Nothing's too small. So if you see something, contact the transit police or any law enforcement or public safety official for that matter. So with your help, you know, you can help us to have a safe and enjoyable first night. Thank you.
Thank you. Dusty Road with Conventions, and Your Honor, I'd like to especially thank the public agencies that are with us here today. Without their support, this event would not be able to happen. I'd like to remind you that this is the 43rd year, and Boston started this event, which is now replicated throughout the country using the word first night. And we are very, very proud that we started that tradition and that through those years it has become a beloved tradition. And you've heard the words a few times: fun, family, free, festive. All of those words apply to the whole course of the day. So starting at noon, we'll have ice sculptures, live entertainment, Boston Public Library with lots of puppets, indoor activities at Copley Place Mall. Copley Square will be energized starting at noon. And then at 6 o'clock, the mayor begins and leads the People's Procession, a beloved tradition of puppets, floats, animation, down Boylston Street to the Boston Common, where thanks to the Mugar Foundation, we have 7 p.m. family-friendly fireworks. We then come back to Copley Square for a little older audience enjoying a little more upbeat or a little more music that might fit their genre, leading up to a countdown in Copley Square, and again televised by NBC 10, whereupon at midnight, pyrotechnics off our wonderful Fairmont Copley Plaza Hotel in that piazza, if you will, between Trinity Church, Boston Public Library, and the Fairmont Copley Plaza. Truly a celebration of the traditions of Boston for the families of Boston, a diverse, free, cultural event. We invite you all down. Thank you.
Any questions thank you, Dusty. Thank you all the speakers that spoke here today. Any questions?
Are there any new sort of threats that you're sort of taking? Are there any new security steps that you're taking in terms of any possible new ways that?
No, I think we're still doing pretty similar from what we did last year, and you know, I'll let the commissioner actually address that.
Thank you, Your Honor. We learned year after year, so we're going to use some of the same approaches and procedures. But like Chief Green alluded to, we want the public to know that you're a part of the security plan. I mean, thousands of people will be there. You're going to be our eyes and our ears. And again, we will be working with the public, private sector, as well as our first responder family that you see here before you today. And we're in constant communication. I will have a law enforcement executive command center with representatives from each of the agencies you see here. So it's going to be a very coordinated effort and, again, a multi-layered approach for the safety.
Does anybody have a rough estimate what to expect? What was that?
Dusty said 300,000 throughout the day.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is there any special challenge to an event like this versus, say, the marathon or the 4th of July? Is there anything different about this type of an event in terms of challenging from your perspective?
So you're always very mindful that anything can happen. And so we utilize the security systems in the area to the inclusion of cameras. And again, we will have undercover officers throughout the crowd. We will have eyes and ears in the crowd. You'll see a huge uniform presence as well. And we just want to make sure that this is a family event and that it's festive. So all I can say to that is we'll be alert and responsive, and we're just happy to have an uneventful night. But in case it isn't, we'll be ready. We'll be prepared to handle anything.
Will there be any K-9 units?
Yes. We will definitely have K-9 units, and we will be working collaboratively with the fire department. Our hazmat team will team up with the fire department as well. So again, all of our resources will be available. That's it? Easy. I will address the 911.
All right.
So,
Are you concerned about 911 outages like what we're seeing today happening first night?
well, we are prepared. There is a direct number, but let me explain what occurred last night. Around 4 o'clock, we were alerted that there was a national problem with the 911 reporting and call services, especially wires. So we have a 911 department, 911 department here in the state, and they've hired General Dynamics to handle the network. So a subcontractor or subsidiary is CenturyLink, run out of Louisiana. So somewhere there was an error in the network which affected the 911 calling system. In Boston, we did not lose any calls to service, but we were keenly aware of this national problem. So, again, if you see something, say something, you can dial 911. If it does not go through, then we would like for you to utilize a number that is a direct link to BPD. That number is 617-343-4911. I don't know if Commissioner Finn, you'd like to add anything?
The only thing I'd like to add to Commissioner Gross's comments is if you have a hard time remembering that number, the street fire alarm boxes located throughout the city, there's over 1,200, and you can hook one of them at any given time, and you probably have a response within 4 minutes. So if somebody has an issue, regardless of emergency, we're always available. So if you find that you can't remember the number or what you can do and you have difficulty getting through, just look for the nearest fire alarm box and pull the box, and we'll be there in short order. Okay? Thank you. Actually, they did have an incident in the North End. We had a fire in the North End this morning. Thank God it wasn't anything of significance. It was kind of a minor fire, but that's how we received the call. It came through a fire alarm box down on Endicott Street, which the system works fine. The system doesn't rely on the technology that the 911 system relies on. It's kind of a nice redundant system in the city that if we ever lose the 911 system or any technology or any of the cyber attacks or anything like that, system will always run. So it's a good backup to the current 911 system throughout the city of Boston.
Happen so close to a huge event like first night?
Well, I would say yes. So I'd be lying if I said no, right? So it's 911. I mean, when you think about first night, you're going to have a lot of different people going to be in the city. The city's going to be crowded. Everyone's going to be having a good time. So, but we have the systems in place to make sure that we can deal with any of the situations that arise.
So are those boxes, can you explain just how they work? Because, I mean, would it add any sort of extra delay in any way?
No, typically those alarm systems, it's an old telegraph system that's been kept up, I should say. It's fiber optic now, and those systems, as soon as you pull that box, it's transmitted immediately to the fire alarm office, which triggers a response from us. And our typical response time, about 94% of the time, is under 4 minutes. So you'll get fire apparatus in a very short order. And listen, if you're in an emergency situation, doesn't matter who comes, because we'll have direct contact with police and EMS if that's the services you need. We have no problem responding.
Thank you, Commissioner Finn.
Any other? We'll go back to the old school to finish it up. Any other questions?
So are currently all the police stations throughout Mass experiencing this problem, or only some?
We haven't really experienced any problems, but we're aware that, again, there's a failure in the national network that could affect BPD. And so, in an abundance of caution, we had a media release earlier today through all of our platforms, our social media platforms, just to alert the folks of what the problem was. And again, if there's a problem, you do have a way to contact us. Again, the number is 617-343-4911. And Commissioner Finn, we talked earlier today, and we're pushing out that message as well. There's a fire, there are fire boxes that you can pull that alarm, and the fire department will respond.
In town, at least starting the night in town. I have no plans for later in the night, but I'll start the parade, and I go to Boston Commons, a great it's a great event for the fireworks for the kids. It's always been fun, and generally I kind of just float around a little bit. I might hook up with one or two of the commissioners here, and we walk around just to see what's going on. It's a really nice event. I mean, I know the estimate's about 300,000 people this year. Last year I think we had about the same. The year before we had I think 500,000. It was freezing cold last year, so a lot of people didn't come out as much as we thought. So it really depends on the weather, on what's going on as far as the size of turnout we have. But I'll be in and around the town all night.
Are there any new performances or varieties of performances this year that are different, that have never been included?
Well, I think every year the concerts, the musical piece is different. We have different people that come in all the time. As Dusty said, that there's different types of genre of music. So people will get some country, get some jazz, probably some rap, some other stuff that's out there, and they'll get a chance to come in and check it out. It's pretty cool. A lot of the bands are local, maybe not Boston, but Massachusetts based, and they're great. They're great performers, and they come out. It's pretty exciting, and obviously the events are somewhat the same, but the young people are always new because they're little. Every year they get older, so they experience what they love, and it's something that's really important for them, the families. Everyone, thank you. Happy New Year.